Okay, so now we're reading Genesis 13. And we're talking about Abram right now. Then Abram went up from Egypt, he and his wife and all that he had, and Lot with him, to the south. Abram was very rich in livestock, in silver, and in gold. And he was on his journey from the south as far as Bethel, to the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Ai, to the place of the altar which he had made there at first. And there Abram called on the name of the Lord. Remember, he went somewhere quiet, and he called on the name of the Lord. And when we call on Jesus, we call on our King. Lot also, who went with Abram, had flocks and herds and tents. Now the land was not able to support them, that they might dwell together, for their possessions were so great that they could not dwell together. And there was strife between the herdsmen of Abram's livestock and the herdsmen of Lot's livestock. The Canaanites and the Perizzites then dwelt in the land. So Abram said to Lot, "Please let there be no strife between you and me, and between my herdsmen and your herdsmen, for we are brethren. Is not the whole land before you? Please separate from me. If you take the left, then I will go right, or if you go to the right, then I will go to the left." And Lot lifted his eyes and saw all the plain of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere, before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt, as you go toward Zoar. Then Lot chose for himself all the plain of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, and they separated from each other. Adam dwelt in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelt in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent even as far as Sodom. But the men of Sodom were exceedingly wicked and sinful against the Lord. And the Lord said to Abram, after Lot had separated from him, "Lift your eyes now and look from the place where you are, northward, southward, eastward, and westward. For all the land which you see, I give to you and your descendants forever. And I will make your descendants as the dust of the earth, so that if a man could number the dust of the earth, then your descendants also could be numbered. Arise, walk in the land through its length and its width, for I give it to you." Then Abram moved his tent and went and dwelt by the terebinth trees of Mamre, which are in Hebron, and built an altar there to the Lord. So the Lord told him that he was going to have so many descendants, right? That it would be like trying to number the sand, right? The grains of the sand. So this is just billions and billions and billions and billions, right? So it's impossible, basically, to number how many people came from Abram and his family, right? But it's a lot, obviously. And Abram was important. And even though he sinned, he lied, but the Lord was with him. And the Lord had his reasons for why he was with Abram. So there are certain people that God has specifically, and I don't know why Abram was special to God, but he was. And even though God tells us that he loves us each the same, certain people have different jobs than other people do, and certain people get cursed and certain people get blessed with different things. And there's a reason behind it. And probably Abram was spreading the word of the Lord and leading people in the right direction. And he was being led by the Lord, and people saw he was being led by the Lord. Did he sin? Yes, he did, but he wasn't evil, and he wasn't eaten up with wickedness, right? So, anyways, 14. And it came to pass in the days of Amphraphel, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Elazar, Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of nations, that they made war with Bera, king of Sodom, Bersha, king of Gomorrah, Shinab, king of Admah, Shemeber, king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, that is Zoar. All these joined together in the valley of Sidon, that is the salt of the sea, of Siddim, that is the salt sea, that is the salt sea. So they joined there in the valley of the salt sea. 12 years they served Chedorlaomer, and in the 13th year they rebelled. In the 14th year, Chedorlaomer and the kings were with him came and attacked the Rephaim in Ashtaroth, Karnaim, the Zuzim in Ham, the Emim in Shaveh, Kiriathaim, mountain of Seir, as far as El Paran, which is by the wilderness. Then they turned back and came to En-Mishpat, that is Kadesh, and attacked all the country of the Amalekites, and also the Amorites, who dwelt in Hazezon Tamar. And the king of Sodom, the king of Gomorrah, the king of Admah, the king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, that is Zoar, went out and joined together in the valley of Siddim against Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, Tidal, king of nations, Amphraphel, king of Shinar, and Arioch, king of Elazar. 4 kings against 5. Now the valley of Siddim was full of asphalt pits, and the king of Sodom and Gomorrah fled. Some fell there, and the remainder fled to the mountains. Then they took all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah and all their provisions and went their way. They also took Lot, Abram's brother's son, who dwelt in Sodom, and his goods, and departed. Then one who had escaped came to and told Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt by the terebinth trees of Mamre, and Amorite, brother of Eshcol and brother of Aner, and they were allies with Abram. Now when Abram heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his 380 trained servants who were born in his house, and went in pursuit as far as Dan. He divided his forces against them by night, and he and his servants attacked them and pursued them as far as Hobah, which is north of Damascus. So he brought back all the goods, and also brought back his brother Lot and his goods, as well as the women and the people. And the king of Sodom went out to meet him in the valley of Shevet, that is the king of valleys. That's the king's valley. After he returned from the defeat of Chedorlaomer and the kings who were with him. Then Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine. He was the priest of God Most High. And he blessed him and said, Blessed be Abram of God Most High, possessor of heaven and earth, and blessed be God Most High, who has delivered your enemies into your hands. And he gave him a tithe of all. Now the king of Sodom said to Abram, give me the persons and take the goods for yourself. But Abram said to the king of Sodom, I have raised my hand to the Lord, God Most High, the possessor of heaven and earth, that I will take nothing from a thread to a sandal strap, and that I will not take anything that is yours, lest you should say, I have made Abram rich, except only what the young men have eaten, and the portion of the men who went with me, Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre, let them take their portion. So the Lord delivered him from his enemies, those who had taken his brother. He went and chased him down, and the only thing that he took, so that no one could say that Sodom made him rich, because he knew where his riches came from. He knew where his blessings came from. He didn't need anything from anyone. He had the hand of God, and God was leading him exactly where he needed to go, and he could hear God, he could feel God, and he could talk to God, and he understood. He had eyes that could see, and he had ears that could hear. And he heard and saw what his path was, and he followed it. And sometimes he did stray. Every one of us are human and we sin. But his focus was on God, and that is why he was so very blessed. So God will deliver you from your enemies. And we have to remember that we're supposed to pray for our enemies. We're not supposed to hang out with them, but we're supposed to pray for them. And we have to pray for all these children on this earth that are consumed. Their lives are surrounded by evil people. And we have to pray that Jesus gives them a door that is open to them, that they have the courage to go through that door, they see the door, and that there is someone there that has the Spirit in their heart, that has the courage to save these children from evil. Because we need our children to grow up unscathed, and those that are scathed need to be rescued at the earliest of age and saved and brought to Jesus and lead a life that they can grow up helping others and not suffering and not committing sin. So through drugs or depression or all these things, we have to pray for all these children on this planet, and we have to pray for the strength of men and women, that they are heroic and that they are not evil, that they don't use children, that they protect children. We have to pray this, and we should pray this every single day and lift up our children to God and lift up our hearts to Jesus and God, because we need this. We need it for to serve Jesus, and we need it to make all of us more healthy. But anyways, okay, so that is that one. I gotta see which one we read, so I can 13 and 14, I think. Yeah, and next is going to be 15 and 16. Okay. Granger and Sarah, I hope y'all are watching this one day. And I got a picture of Granger in the background. I better put one back there of Sarah before she calls me a bitch. Okay, have a good day.